Welcome back to the Schmitter's 100 Acre Woods. So I know normally on the channel we're doing stuff with firewood, tractors, out at the 100 acres, working there. Well, with the weather being like it's been, hasn't been super conducive to get over there. So it is starting to warm up though. So I'm in here with my 2017 MK7 Golf R. So I'm getting some tires switched over on that, and probably gonna clean up, have some paint chips on the hood that I'm gonna try to touch up and see if I can't get those where it looks a little bit better, but then more importantly protect it so it doesn't rust. Don't want the hood and a couple different spots on it to rust, so gonna work on getting that cleaned up today. So a little bit different on the channel today than normal, but hopefully you'll find this interesting and learn a little bit about changing the tires over and cleaning up the hood. So follow me while we work on the Golf R today. Okay, so switching this winter tire over to a summer tire. So it's finally getting warm enough out that you can get those switched over. Got the summer tires all cleaned up and ready to go in the car. So just have a 3-ton jack here that put under the car. Use these little donuts that go in the groove underneath the car as a pickup point. It's reinforced there, so that's where they want you to pick the car up. Since most of these cars now don't have true frames under them, there's just reinforced spots. So got a set of these to be able to pick up the car. So I always just take the donut and put it under there and kind of hold it up first. So let's see if I can't kind of get it under here so you can see. So I think if you run your hand along, there's a spot that you can feel. Flashlight to be able to see it a little bit better. So right there is kind of the reinforced spot that this donut, that groove falls in there. You're picking up on that spot. So I'll go ahead and do that. Just get the jack position so that you're under it. Alright, just hold it in place till the jack makes contact and pick up the car enough to be able to get this wheel off. On the front, in particular, you're getting all that suspension travel out, so you gotta pick it up quite a bit before you actually get the tire off the ground. And you go up just a little bit more because the summer tires are actually just a little bit bigger around. And then in my glove box, I keep a little kit, so if I get stranded on the road, I have everything I need. So if someone can come bring a jack to me and bring a 17mm socket and an impact. This car, the Golf R, does not come with a spare tire. It just comes with the goo you fill up the tire, which I'd never use in one of these tires because it just destroys the rim. I do carry a plug kit, and there's a small air compressor that comes with the car. So I do carry a plug kit with me so that if I have a hole and I can plug it, I can plug that and then air up the tire. But if I need to take the tire off, someone can bring a jack and everything. I can, get the tire off. So I keep 2 of these donuts in the car so that I always have them. Someone didn't have to remember them. Carry the little pick for VW to be able to take off the little covers that go over the lug nuts, and these are actually bolts because VW uses bolts that go through instead of the nuts like most American cars. And then this car does have a locking bolt on it, so I carry the lock key with me as well, so that I always have that if I need it. So carry those just in a plastic bag in the car at all times, just so that if I need to take the tire off, I'm never without those things even though I don't have all the other stuff to take the tire off, someone can bring it to me and I have everything else that I need. So I'm going to go grab a 17, pull all these off, and take the tire off. Okay, so one thing that I did on the 17 is I put a wrap of tape around the end of it so that I'm not banging the metal against the alloy rims. So it just kind of helps protect them. Not 100% guaranteed, but it helps a little bit since I don't have the fancier sockets. Rims, taking it off, I use that. And then putting the tires back on, I always use a torque wrench and torque everything to about 100 foot-pounds. These tires have been on all winter, so it may be a little tough to come off, but you can typically beat it back and forth and it'll come off. So, kind of a couple reasons I like could have, for the summer tires like this, you wouldn't necessarily take it someplace, but I like doing all this myself. I can easily check the wear of these tires, which these are getting about on the wear marks. Let's see how the backs are. Maybe I'll switch them and get one more year out of these, since these are my winter tires, and we continue to have winters like we've had. They haven't been a lot of snow or anything, so mainly I'm using these tires for the temperature aspect, and not necessarily the snow traction part of it. And one thing I do whenever I take a tire off is I label which one it comes from, so I'm not switching left and right, or driver side and passenger side. It shouldn't matter, but because of the rotation of the tire, I try to keep everything on the same side. And so I'll label this one saying that it came off the driver front, so I know whenever I put it back on that it will go on, passenger front, and it will go on passenger rear next time I put these on. So the other thing I like to do whenever I have this off is just kind of do inspection, and since it's been raining, everything's kind of dirty, but just kind of look, make sure I don't see any main issues. The other thing I like to do, take you with me here, is look at the brakes. So I haven't done front brakes on this car yet. You can see on the front side there's still quite a bit of pad. I'll check these backs here, and there's still quite, flip it around, still quite a bit of pad on the back. Can't really see it too well there on the camera, but still have quite a bit of pad on these. For whatever reason, I guess on the MK7s, I'm not sure about the 6s, but the 7s in particular, I guess they're pretty known for wearing backs out sooner than fronts, which most of the time is, on most cars, is the other way around, because all your momentum's coming forward, so these are doing most of the braking for you. And typically on most cars, these wear out before the backs. Well, the backs I've already done once at about 50,000 miles. I'm at 100,000 now, and these still have a fair amount of meat on them, so I'll probably go a little bit longer on these, and then in another few thousand, or 10, 20,000 miles maybe, look at getting pads and new rotors for this. But otherwise, just kind of looking and make sure I don't see any major issues. And living here in Indiana, they do treat the roads with salt and the brine, which is actually pretty hard on cars, so there's some rust that started on pieces, and nothing too fancy on these. Just kind of a personal preference thing. I typically take the lock nut and put it in line with the valve stem. Just kind of a consistency thing, not needed, not necessary, anything like that. Just kind of something I've been doing out of habit. But those are nice because it has a little extra layer there to be able to get it started. So just get it lined up on the first stud here. And different places sell studs that you can thread into one of the spots that the bolt comes out, and it just kind of helps hold the tire. I could see, like, if you're on a lift, that would be handy just so you're not having the tire fall out. But for this, it's not too bad. and then I get them all started by hand here. Normally if there's a second person here, I'll have them step on the brake just so I'm not torquing against the transmission pin, but I don't have another person here, so it's kind of my only option this go around. Take the torque wrench, always undo it whenever I'm done so that you're not leaving the tension on this wrench. So I typically go to about 100. This is just an old analog one, so you just spin it to where you want it, put my socket on, and then tighten. So I typically kind of go just a little bit on each one, making sure to go in a star pattern so you don't twist a rim or anything, and you can get it evenly across as you tighten it up. And then the last one, once I kind of gone through, I'll kind of give it a click and then go back through my star pattern, give it a click, and then I go back to the last one and I go through them all one more time. On this, with only the 5 bolts, it's not too bad. It's pretty easy to keep the pattern. If you're on a truck and you have 8, it can be a little bit more, you can get lost in your pattern sometimes, so I always go back through one more time in case you happen to miss one. But have those all tightened up. Take my lock off, my key, and then these you just push back on. So there's one that's different for the lock. It's just blank, whereas the other ones are actually formed for the 17mm head. So you just push these back on, and that's all ready. So you can drop the car. And move the operation to the next tire. So I'm gonna go through, do all 4 tires. Got all the tires put back on, all the summer tires on. So put my little baggie back together with the donuts, the lock, or the thing to pull off the covers, and then the unlocker. So put all that back together and put it back in my glove box. Tires are looking pretty good. So they've been in storage since this past spring when I took them off. So now I need to go through and check all the pressures, make sure the pressures are good, and we'll start on the paint chips and kind of describe the process I'm going to take on those and see how that goes. I've done it once before on the 2010 Golf we had, and the first time it went okay, the second time not as well. So we'll go through it this time and see how it goes.